lads and lassies, I'm here to tell you the tale of the noble king, the beautiful princess, and the worthy suitor. You see, the king was wise, and he was a good king, and he ruled his kingdom, and he always took care of his subjects. And then one glorious day, he had a baby born, a baby daughter, the princess. And the king knew that someday she would grow up and have to be married. So he called his craftsmen, and he said, "Fashion me a device so that I know that only a worthy man will marry my daughter." And they made the magic cube that would only reveal itself to a man who was pure in heart, like refined gold. And so they sealed it in the box and put the lid on. And they told the king, "Only the man worthy to marry your daughter can turn that cube all gold." And so the king waited. And his daughter grew and grew, and her beauty grew and grew until her beauty was known throughout the kingdom. And finally, on her 20th birthday, the king sent out the decree to the subjects that any man who believed they were worthy to become her husband, the prince, and the next king should come to the castle and see if they could solve the magic cube. Well, the first gentleman came up, and the king goes to him, "Noble sir, why do you think you're worthy to marry my daughter?" And he replied, "I am the smartest man in the land. I'm sure I can solve that cube." And he opened it up, and he saw all the many colors. He put the lid back on, and he shook it up like this, and he twisted and twisted and twisted. And then he took the lid off, and he poured it out. But alas for him, it was still all mixed up. And he sadly put it back into the box. The next gentleman came up, and the king goes to him, "Noble sir, why do you think you're worthy to marry my daughter?" And he goes, "Because, my majesty, I am the strongest man in the kingdom. I will protect your daughter from all dangers. Nobody can stand before me." And so he picked the cube, and he squeezed it tight with all his might. And then he opened the lid, and he poured it out. But alas for the strongest man in the kingdom, it was still all mixed up. And so he sadly put it back in the box. And then the next suitor came up, and the king goes to him, "Noble sir, why do you think you're noble enough to marry my daughter?" And the sir replied, "I come from blood. I am your nephew. You know I come from royal blood. I have to be worthy of marrying your daughter." And so the king said, "Go ahead." So he merely touched the box, knowing that he was of royal blood, and surely the cube would change for him. He opened the lid, and he poured it out. But alas, it was still all mixed up in different colors. And he sadly put it back in the box and put the lid on. Then came another man, and he said to the king, "I am noble, I am wise, I am strong. You see, I am a wizard. I have all those abilities that everybody else spoke about. I certainly can marry your daughter and protect her, and I know everything because I have magic." And the king goes, "All right, noble sir, let's see what you could do." And the wizard stood back, and he wiggled his fingers, and he cast a spell on the magic box. And he opened it up, certain that he had solved the mystery of the Enchanted Cube. He took the lid off,
And he poured it out. And he said, "There you go, sir. I solved it. I am able to marry your daughter." And the king goes, "I'm sorry, noble sir. Yes, you solved it, but you see, the man who will marry my daughter will not have a heart filled with many colors like that cube. No, he will have a refined heart, a pure heart, a one that's gold. In order to marry my daughter, the cube must be entirely golden in color." And so the magician and wizard sadly put it back in the box and put the lid on. And the king called the next person up. And he said, "Noble sir, why do you think you are able to marry my daughter?" And the man replied, "I am not worthy, Majesty. I'm merely a lowly farmer. I have no riches. I have no army to protect her. I have no magic. I don't even know how smart I am, sir. All I know is your daughter will need somebody to serve her and try to protect her as best they can be. So I volunteer not to be her husband, but just to serve her however she deems." And he knelt down and bowed before the king. And the king said, "Noble sir, your words touch my heart. Please try the box." And the lowly farmer opened the lid. And he poured it out. And lo and behold, the cube was entirely golden in color, because, unlike all the others, that man had a pure heart, one of pure love. Golden, you might say, like refined gold. And that is the story of the king